Rushmore podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm joined as per usual by my good friends Richard.
Hello.
And Michael.
Howdy.
Richard and Michael, they often are opposed by sharing one opinion, and the other opinion is different than that opinion. And this week, they're going to discuss the Mount Rushmore of watching sports in a bar. Who chose this?
Me, sort of.
Oh, intrigue.
Well, not that much. It really was. And Michael backed me up on this one. I think my original suggestion was just watching sports on TV.
Yeah, I think you just said watching sports.
Right. And I think the implication was on TV or something.
Yeah.
And Michael came up with a good suggestion. Hey, let's kind of make that a little more specific.
Let's tweak it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and let's talk about the specific
social
environment of doing it at a bar.
Cool.
So yeah.
Since you kind of thought it, Michael, you kind of start us.
My first choice is when a sports bar transforms, or any bar, it doesn't have to be a sports bar, when a bar somehow becomes a specific team bar.
Oh,
and this might be a very LA thing or a big city thing.
Oh,
I am thinking, I often think of examples in our own life, and we have a good friend, guest the podcast, Scott Jones from our very first season, and it seems every year he has a new bar that he goes to that is the Kansas City Chiefs. Sports bar in Los Angeles. It used to be a place here up in the valley. It's been a place over in LA. It's been all over the place.
And now it's a place in Kansas City.
But there's something that happens, and maybe it's just the transient nature of Los Angeles, where a sports fandom can emerge, can congregate, and take over a bar, whether that bar has any affiliation with a sports team or not. Like if a Chicago, This is where Chicago Bears fans go to watch football. And it's like
It's one thing if it's like Taste of Chicago.
Sure.
But it's another thing if it's just like a regular bar.
It's a very strange thing. And suddenly you're watching, you're waking up and going to go watch some football or whatever, and then just like 75 Chiefs fans.
yeah.
And you're just like, what, am I in the wrong place now?
Yeah.
It's very weird, and maybe it's very regional because it's LA.
I think it's a very LA specific thing because we have so many transplants.
Yeah.
I don't think
many fans of other teams. I don't think
you wouldn't go to St. Louis and you'd be like, "Oh, where's the Dodgers bar?" There's no. Every bar is a Cardinals bar.
I was just in Portland to go to the Portland Timbers versus LAFC soccer game, and every bar was a Timbers bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like every bar in that city was covered with Timbers shit.
Okay.
You weren't going to be able to watch any other go there and be like, hey, could you throw on the Colorado Rapids? No.
But it's a very interesting thing to go and try to enjoy sports and then just be overwhelmed by an entire fan base and just be like, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. Good buddy of mine. He is from Missouri, and his name is Jim Coughlin, and he was kind enough to tell us a little bit of a tale about doing just what you did. And he went into a bar to watch a Cardinals game, and it was a Rangers bar. So let's hear what Jim has to say.
Okay, this is Jim Coughlin for the Mount Rushmore podcast. Again, this is Jim Coughlin, and a favorite memory though of watching sports in a bar was going into a bar in North Hollywood, watching Game 6 of the 2011 World Series. Most of the people, if they were rooting for either side, they were rooting for the Texas Rangers. And the Rangers were one pitch from winning the whole series, and the Cardinals came back. And then at the top of the 10th, the Rangers went ahead again. Bottom of the 10th, the Cardinals tied it again. And then bottom of the 11th, Rangers didn't do anything. And bottom of the 11th, Cardinals won. That was it's kind of more fun for have your team win when you're surrounded by the enemy. So that was a great experience, and highly recommend it.
That experience sounds great if you don't want to get a whole pitcher of beer dumped over your head. If you're okay with that, then go ahead and go into enemy territory.
Yeah, very brave of
Jim. You're stones bigger than me.
That is a very interesting point of view, though. If you were the type of person that is going to go into an enemy territory bar knowing enemy territory. What bullshit. If you are, let's say, a Denver Broncos fan and you go to a Chiefs bar to watch the Chiefs Broncos play, like, you're either looking for a fight or you're looking to prove something. There's a certain mentality that is looking for conflict within that scene when you know that's happening.
This is not, I don't want to turn this to shit on Jim hour here, but Jim, buddy, listen. Clearly, you are more interested in watching other people suffer than enjoying your own excitement at this incredible game. Go with your people. Celebrate together. Be where people are happy, not where you get to observe schadenfreude.
A little bar sports therapy or, I guess, guidance from Richard Manfredi. All right, Richard, what do you got?
All right, so my first one. Hey, Jeff,
Yes, sir.
I know it's NFL Sunday.
Yeah.
I know everyone's watching the game. Can I get NASCAR on the TV here? That guy. There's always the one guy, whether it's NFL Sunday, college football Saturday, no matter what the big occasion
Alternate
is.
sports guy
Who has the one weirdo thing, and it's not usually me, even though I'm usually weirdo sports guy. But I know better.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
funny.
not going to go into a bar that's got 50 screens watching NFL games and ask for the
Highlight.
the
That's the
soccer
best.
game
Yeah,
on
yeah.
one of them or something like that. Mm-hmm. I know it's just one TV, but chances are I'm the idiot who is stuck there viewing that TV because that's where I sat down 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden they change it to, like I said, golf. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there going, what just happened to the game? Oh, these guys wanted to, well, you watch on one of the other ones. Well, that one's behind me. Now I got to turn around and I'm all cramped and twisted around and it's a mess.
Okay.
I like that. I think there is something interesting there too. Is I think a lot of my thoughts for this were really driven by football, like especially NFL football.
Same.
And I think that's just the nature of it, especially sports bars. It's a once a week thing. You go in, but there are 16 games on, 15 games on, and I think that there's something that happens when you're going to a sports bar to watch your team, and it's on one TV, and you can't get a seat by your TV. And I think that if the weirdo sports channel is taking up
Your
two
seat.
or like two TVs, and you're just like, God, I just want to watch I'm trying to think of the most obscure fan. I just want to watch a Jacksonville Jaguars game.
Yeah.
And you know it's not going to be on regular TV. You don't have whatever sports package.
Oh, got it.
And you go to a sports bar just to watch the Jaguars play, and then you see it on one TV, which is fun because this dovetails into my next one, which is knowing when to arrive and leave.
Oh.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
is a timing for going to go watch sports. Sometimes if your team is just getting destroyed, you just leave. There's nothing worse than watching a game where your team is losing all the way to the end. The only thing that's happening is you're just sitting there waiting for the check.
It's 34-10. There's 7.5 minutes left to go in the game. Get out.
Get out, get your check
Okay.
and go, because it is going to take forever for the check to come anyway.
Yeah.
And you're going to be miserable.
And everyone else is going to try and leave at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So it's like beating traffic.
Yes. Same thing with arriving to like a sports bar in particular is you got to get there at the right time. You can either get there too early and you've been there for an hour and you're just like,
You're 2 beers in already.
and it's just strange and you're just like, I don't know. But sometimes you go to a place and you can't get a seat and you're just antsy and the game is starting and you're just like, I got to go watch my thing. And then you get your crappy breakfast and it's so strange. And you just got to work that timing. You got to figure it out, especially with like football.
Kevin Dudley, this is to your previous point. Kevin Dudley said last month I asked if they could put the golf championship, the PGA championship, on TV, on CBS, and they turned it to the Golf Channel and walked away. And he watched a 10-minute infomercial before he realized that he'd been duped. And that peeved the heck out of him. And-
By the way, this dovetails into my next one.
Okay. All right.
So my next, by the way, Jeff,
A lot of dovetailing this week.
can we get the sound on? on channel 1.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
wait.
what, bro? Yeah, sure. What?
So the game's on channel 847.
Okay. Wait. Okay.
No,
hold on.
not that.
Okay. Wait.
There's always not always, but I feel like, again, this is as someone who goes in to watch a lot of soccer games
Yeah.
on TV instead of the football games.
Yeah.
So I'll go in on a random Tuesday night or whatever. Trying to get them to figure out, especially if the game is on Univision or something like that, where it's not one of the channels that they're used to, they have memorized. It's not like ESPN or Fox Sports or something like that. It's tiring. It's really tiring trying to like sit there with the bartender who's doing their best.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, could you put it on Univision? Okay. Do you know what channel that is? No, I don't have cable, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh. Let me see if I can get the manager. And now you've just made his life. You've added twice as much work to this poor schlub's life.
And while you're at it, can you make me a lychee martini?
Yes.
Dry.
Yes, and also get me food and drinks while you're doing this, please. Yeah, there's always, and then if it's DirecTV, half the time the signal kind of there's always the danger of the signal getting choppy.
Oh, okay.
Or getting screwed up,
Yeah.
and then the whole bar, it's the owner's fault.
Your peeve when you go out, should they know these esoteric things or
It's
no?
not a peeve. It's just a thing.
Okay.
I
it's
would
a thing.
say
Okay.
it's just
It's your cross to bear.
It's something that happens whenever that will happen to me when I go to watch a soccer game,
Yeah.
particularly.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not really anyone's fault,
Yeah.
but collectively we've gotten ourselves into this mess. And usually I don't know how to get out of it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I hate conflict. So
Before we go to break, want to say that our buddy Paul Lurie said, I watched WrestleMania 17 at a Hooters, and two guys kept mimicking the wrestlers' entrance poses. And then Ryan McNicholas says, I'm a little upset that it was only two guys doing that. And then Lurie says, they did the dance for Rikishi. Rikishi?
he was a big Samoan
guy.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
He had a big butt, and
He
he
liked to
would
dance.
shake his butt.
He
Right
liked
on.
to dance.
Okay. That's where you go to Hooters for, seeing near naked guys dancing. That wasn't meant to be incendiary. Okay, so we are at our halftime, and speaking of naked guys dancing, that's something you can expect on the podcast every week. It's a podcast, so you won't see it, but that's what's happening.
I mean, I'm naked right now.
Richard's naked, full
Monty.
bear pickle. And so you could go back into all the past episodes, the archive of the podcast, and I invite you to and listen to Naked Podcast from 2-3 years ago, where we are nakedly discussing all kinds of fun topics. Do us a favor when you do go back, or even open up the podcast in anything, in your iTunes, in
No longer
Stitcher,
iTunes.
no longer
iTunes is going away.
Oh my God,
We gotta like
your podcast
get
app.
in with the rebranding
Yeah,
of Apple Podcasts.
your
That is
Google-
infuriating. The app should just be called Podcast.
I think the app on iOS is podcast, right?
I don't know.
The Mac has to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's called Apple Podcast is like, yeah, you guys invented the word podcast and it refers to your thing.
Your iPod, yeah.
Take ownership of it and just call the app Podcasts.
I think it is on the desktop.
Let's fight about this.
Okay,
a little
okay. But subscribe. That's the most important thing. Subscribe. Do us the favor. Click that subscribe button. We'd appreciate it. And if you would share it, that would be even like double, triple good. Appreciate that a lot. Would appreciate that a lot. Join us out on the social sphere by going to our Facebook, going to our Twitter, going to Instagram, and suggesting a future podcast topic. Maybe let us know some suggestions, things we missed on previous topics. And just be our friend. We'd love to have you as part of the dialogue for the thing that we do here. And with that, we is back. And I guess this is Michael Winfield's third choice.
Drinking beer at 10 a.m. and it not feeling weird.
Wait, what do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean? You need to go to a sports bar for
Do you
that?
take issue?
Yes.
You have to yeah.
Maybe Richard does, but I don't know if the last time I've cracked a beer before noon at home
At home, okay.
Only at an airport.
at home. But like when you're at a bar, man, everything is game on. You are there and you can drink. It's like the feeling of going to a barbecue. You're going to eat whatever.
Yeah.
What do you want for breakfast? I don't know. They have this crappy breakfast burrito. You have to suffer through that to get to the hot wings. And you have to suffer. Like everything is just like you're going to eat everything and anything.
Yeah. The kid's locked safely in the car. Let's do this.
But just the idea of like drinking beer at 10 a.m., it's all okay. And again, this for our East Coast listeners, maybe you don't experience this because for NFL games or general sports takes place later in the day. On the West Coast, it's like this gets in the way of. I know all three of us are churchgoers. Yeah. This gets in the way of us going to church, that one episode of The Simpsons where Homer gets in a fight with the pastor and Reverend Lovejoy and everybody, and Marge is disappointed. But just the idea that it becomes okay, the application of sports plus going to a bar, it makes it okay. It is not okay to go to a bar at 10 o'clock in the morning and no sports are on.
No.
That is super weird. But you throw a little bit of golf on there, throw a baseball game, you throw
civil.
You throw anything and just like, well, then this is allowed.
I will go back to my soccer fandom. World Cups that are held in
this is interesting. Yes.
halfway around the world.
This is a great point.
So you were either at the bar. I remember the 2002 World Cup that was co-hosted by Japan and South Korea. All of the games were on like at 2 a.m. So bars would like stay open late, but they couldn't serve alcohol. And I'm using air quotes here. They couldn't serve alcohol.
No, that's against the rules, sir.
Yeah, they couldn't do that, clearly. So they'd stay open until like 4 a.m. for people to watch the games. Or the opposite one, as I remember the 2010, the Landon Donovan against Algeria game. That was on, I think, at 7 a.m. or something insane like that. And Tony's Darts Away had a special. You got a beer and a breakfast burrito to watch the game with for $10. And again, it's just that idea of I went to go get a beer and a breakfast burrito to watch the game, and then I went to work.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
The worst thing you could possibly order at a bar to watch sports is a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is the worst cup of coffee you will ever have.
Yeah.
But there's just one aspect of you that feels like, well, it's 10 o'clock. I should have a cup of coffee.
Yes.
With my scrambled eggs?
Yes.
Hash browns?
The only place I've observed that is the twilight zone for drinking is the airport bar.
Yeah.
Like, you'll see a guy in a priest's outfit drinking alcohol. You'll see, like, your mom.
Yeah, that is
business guys.
That is what's it called? It's the rules of the sea. There's no.
Oh yeah.
There are no rules.
Yeah. So you can marry people and drink anything you want.
And if you want to hear more about this, listen to our bad airport etiquette episode.
Okay. Yes. Please do that. Richard, your third choice.
All right, my third choice is the guy who knows more about sports than you do and won't shut up about it.
Oh, okay.
So you're sitting there and you're watching the game and you're just having a good time with your friends and you're bullshitting about what's happening. There's always that one guy who has to jump in and be like, "Yeah, you see the way Eli Manning? He's a fucking idiot." That guy. He's usually half in the tank, if not more. He's somebody. It's worse because he thinks he knows more about sports than he really does. It's one thing if he actually knew something about sports.
Yeah.
But it's the guys who have there's that gap between their actual knowledge and their belief in what their knowledge is.
That's very interesting.
They won't shut up about it.
I hear it often at work when I hear people starting to talk about like Star Wars or like Game of Thrones or something nerdy.
Yeah.
And there are people that are talking very loudly. And I have learned over the years to ingest it but not engage because I don't need to be the guy that's correcting.
Exactly.
I don't need to engage with the people that have misquoted something about a particular Jedi or a Marvel superhero or whatever. They just got it completely wrong. I just chalk it up to the guy's an idiot and move along.
Yeah.
What you unfortunately can't do is if you are a woman at a sports bar and you are a fan of a particular team and all of a sudden, the guys come out of the woodwork and start quizzing you on the names of the offensive lineman coach.
Oh.
And just, you are suffering.
God.
There is a level of, like, you can deal with a drunken guy. You
Yeah,
can deal with a drunken guy who is a
knows
know-it-all. But if you are a woman, you are suffering something. You are suffering a level of misogyny and mansplaining and all this stuff that generally men don't have to deal with. We get it and can process it. It just processes a different way. I know that Emily, big Indianapolis Colts fan, would get just besieged with like people trying to correct her or quiz her to make sure that to put her in her place. Basically, it's an awful experience.
Sounds terrible.
Well,
It sounds like if
yeah.
I was a female at a sports bar, I would be slapping people all the time. It sounds awful.
Garth Hansen had nearly the same choice, except it wasn't a know-it-all. It was a guy who just won't shut up about it in general when his team is doing something good. Every play his team does well, even if he's the only one in the bar. Eagles advance the ball 1 yard. Clap, clap, clap. Yay! Every little thing. So is that something you've encountered?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
there's also a version of that, which is the come on guy, which is the guy that just says, come on!
I'm come on guy.
Are you come on guy? With every play that goes against your
come on
team.
guy.
Oh, come on! Come on!
Let me think here. I'm watching the game. I'm trying to get into character here. I'm watching
Okay.
something. and-
Thing
Damn it.
there. Ooh.
I'm goddamn it guy.
You're goddamn it guy.
God.
I do like...
I get that from my dad, too. My dad was also goddamn
Oh,
it
was
guy.
he?
And he had the vein that would get on his forehead that would
Yeah.
bulge out whenever Fresno State would fuck something up.
Winfield, wrap it up on your side.
My final thing is when sports is happenstantially on at a very nice restaurant at the bar in the restaurant. You go out to a nice dinner and you go get a drink at the bar and there's just fucking sports everywhere. You're going out and you're getting a drink afterwards. Maybe you're just at the nice, cool local bar. And then there's a fucking replay of Sports Center. And everything is sports. Like, there is a weird thing where you're just trying to have a conversation or listen to the jukebox, as is our wont. And all of a sudden, there are these flat screen TVs fucking everywhere. And
Yeah.
you can't get away from people trying to watch sports at a bar, no matter what hour, no matter how nice the restaurant is.
Oh.
It could be a fancy French restaurant. And there's like a little bar tucked away in the corner that you can go get a drink at before you're seated. Guess what's fucking on? Fucking
The Baguette Channel.
Game 4 of the NBA
Yeah.
semifinals, and you're just like, can you put it on like the XM Sirius Simply Sinatra station and just have like that little bouncing XM thing going around? I would rather watch that than have to have more sports.
So-
like I like watching sports, but when it's always there, just even on in the side of your head, you're having a conversation with a date or your wife or whoever, and you just see it out of the corner of your head, and you you instinctually follow the ball.
Yeah.
I know that when I will go out to a bar with Emily, I will sit not facing it, or I will ask her, which way do you want to face?
Okay.
Do you want to look at sports, or do you want it to be facing in my face? Because either I'm going to be distracted facing one way, or you're going to be distracted. So you get to choose which one of us is like.
Yeah.
And it is just...
Is that a Big Wings?
No. When we're at Hooters for our anniversary date.
Okay, Tyler. And Eli, thanks.
But it's just one of those things that, like, somehow it doesn't matter where you go. It's always there. And
that's
it's just
fascinating.
like tucked into the corner of like the nice restaurant bar. And that's what's the killer, is that you're eating out and you're just like, oh, this is great. And it's just like, I see it. That's there.
This seems to really be counter to the discussion. So
It's not necessarily watching. Well, it's because it's not watching sports at a sports bar. It's watching sports at a bar.
At a bar.
Yeah.
But this
in
is just one of those
case,
things where it's just...
You want to be able to, it's all about controlling the environment. And in
At
that
some point,
case,
you almost expect it to be turned off. But sports are playing all day long.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Can't escape it.
It's strange how ubiquitous it is once you start realizing how ubiquitous it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I go to the Wingstop, and they've got ESPN on with Wingstop, the wing place.
Yeah.
I know you're a big wing fan, Michael.
I love them.
Mm-hmm. And they have ESPN on, but they have it on like with no sound.
Okay.
So it's just like the talking head shows.
Yeah.
So all it is just watching two people talking about sports, but you can't hear what they're saying.
With a chyron going on at the bottom, and you're just like,
You're trying to guess what they're rambling about. Yeah.
Richard, your final.
Okay, so my final one, I'm going to take a very specific, this is my favorite watching sports at a bar moment. And as Michael was just talking about, this was not at a sports bar. It was at the bar of the Albuquerque airport back in 2005. I was there visiting Albuquerque with my wife and her sister, and it was the day of the USC versus Notre Dame game, and there was no way in hell I was going to miss that game. So our flight out was like at 3:45 or 4 o'clock or something like that. So I had them drop me off at the airport like 5 hours early so I could go to the airport bar and watch the game there because I knew there was no way I could find a bar and then get to the airport. And it was, USC had like a 27-game winning streak. Notre Dame was ranked in the top 10. All this big hype. And it was legitimately one of the greatest college football games that's ever been played. If you guys listening remember, it's the Bush Push game.
oh, the one where Notre Dame won? No, obviously not if it was the greatest football game ever played.
No. This is the one where USC converted a fourth and 8 to keep it the last drive alive and then scored with
Wow, to go 8 feet. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they scored a touchdown. They didn't.
That's 12 points, Jeff.
They got down.
You're joking, but I don't even know.
Yeah,
that
Jeff.
you're
Yeah, they got down to where they were in field goal range, and all they needed to do was spike the ball and get the field goal to go.
That means put a shot of Jack right on top.
To go for the tie. But this is the game where Leinart faked the spike and then ran in on a quarterback sneak for the touchdown. I was watching that entire game, and it started out with just me and one other person. And as this game went on, just people randomly started just filling into this airport bar until it was jam-packed. And everyone knew I was the SC fan there. I had all my shit on. And we get to the end of the game, and my flight is leaving, and my wife and my sister-in-law are like, we have to go. I'm like, there's 30 seconds left. We are not leaving. And for all the world, it looks like it's going to be going into overtime. And I'm like, fuck, I can't watch overtime. Like, they're not going to hold the plane for me.
Yeah.
And as soon as Leinart runs that in, I run screaming down the
jetway
to the gates.
Yeah.
With both hands in the air. Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And they actually had held the plane for me for a couple of minutes.
Oh my God.
Because they knew there was somebody watching the game. And they got word that.
That's lovely.
Wasn't it nice? Good job, Southwest. But it was just amazing. It was one of those experiences where it started off as actually, I almost had watching a game by yourself as one of the choices. And this was an example of watching a game by myself. And sometimes watching a game by yourself can be a real miserable fucking way to watch a game at a sports bar. And sometimes you wind up meeting people at the sports bar, and hopefully you're not the loudmouth asshole about it.
Yeah.
And it turns into this big, fun communal experience.
Oh, that's nice.
And that's the positive thing about watching a game at a bar.
That's lovely. Okay, guys, let's rippity wrap it up. I'm just going to go, since you took me on an emotional story, Richard, I want to go with the Albuquerque story.
Nothing says football excitement like the Albuquerque
No,
airport.
this seems like maybe it would be a Glenn Campbell song or something from the 60s that he would win.
Something that Jimmy Webb would have
Jimmy
written.
Webb composition. And Michael, since I feel like I was there with you, just the 10 a.m. drinking in the sports bar. Totally down with that. Real fun kind of punchline of the guy who wants NASCAR on Sunday when everybody else is watching football. And let's see. I think this might be something that other people will respond to. So, guy who knows more and won't shut up about it. So, them's the picks. And I'm the guy who knows nothing and won't shut up about it. My name is Jeff.
I'm Richard.
Michael.